Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Hi, everybody. And thank you for joining us tonight. Firstly, I want to start off by thanking all the wonderful people at CORE. Thank you all for your help and for all that you do for Jewish women worldwide. To everyone that wants to learn more about CORE or to donate, please visit coretorah.org. I also want to thank my wife, Bela, Mrs. Hoffman, and Mrs. Major for running this event from the back end. Tonight we'll be hearing from Rabbi Royde, a well-known Ruv and veteran Chusn Rebbe. He trains Chusn Rebbes as well, preparing them to teach the generations to come. In addition, he also sees couples and helps them navigate the Shulam Bayis. Tonight, we'll be reviewing Hilchos Niddah, with the emphasis being on what Hashem has in mind for Jewish couples through these halachos. As we'll soon see, it's to create a deep, physical, emotional, and lasting relationship together. If you're going to have any questions, or if you need clarity on something that was said, please feel free to send a message through the chat, privately or on the chat, and we'll do our best to answer and clarify. Also note, it's important that not all questions are going to be able to be answered in a public setting. So for those type of questions, you can always reach out to Rabbi Royde directly. Okay, Rabbi Royde, we're ready to begin.
Okay, Shalom Aleichem, everyone. And Be'ez Hashem, we're doing our mitzvah. The Torah says, Kadoshim tiyu ki kodesh ani Hashem lechaichem. Be kadosh. What does it mean, be kadosh? Everyone knows, the definition of kadosh, everyone knows what the Ramban teaches us about being extra kadosh atzmcha b'mutalach. But I want to say pashup pshat. Rashi tells us pashup pshat kadoshim tiyu. Rashi says, have a perushim min ha'arayas. Do something to keep yourself away from sinning. It's pshat, by learning the halachos, reviewing the halachos, we are actually doing now the mitzvah of kadoshim tiyu. The pashup madrega of kadoshim tiyu we're doing now. Everyone likes, Rashi is always a pashup pshat, so by learning the halachos, reviewing the halachos, we're doing our mitzvah. I'm going to, Be'ez Hashem, go through the halachos. Hashem should help, we shouldn't make any mistakes in halachas, and we'll try and explain a lot of the ideas to it. We can't say what Hashem has in mind, but we can say what the Gemara Chazal teach us, the benefits of the halachas from our perspective. We'll try and go over as many halachas as possible. Now, as Rabbi Tratel said, we're going to give you the basic halachas. Some halachas cannot be, some halachas is only for individuals. We'll give the basic halachas, no chumras, and just a black and white halachas. Many people have, over the years, received certain kulas for halachas, and some people forget what the basics are. So we're going to try and go through all the basic halachas. First, want to go through the ideas, how the basic ways how someone becomes a niddah. There's 5 things which can make a person a niddah: basic period, childbirth, miscarriage, Rahman al-Islam, kesem, staining, or a bedika. Some bedikas can, even if will make someone a niddah, and occasionally by a doctor going for internal examination. Going to a doctor for internal examination most of the times are no problems, but it's always good to check with your Rav. I want to first speak now a few coolest leniencies about a kesem. A kesem, again, is a blood stain, random blood stain, not the period. You just find a stain on the underwear, on the pads. There are a few basic leniencies. Number 1, less than the size of a penny. Any blood stain less than the size of a penny is okay. A few dots, each one less than a penny, you don't add them together, you judge each one individually. A kesem found on colored underwear is also going to be okay. We're not talking about a lot of blood when it could be a question of a period. Just a nice stain larger than the size of a penny on colored underwear is going to be okay. And halacha Shulchan Aruch actually tells us that we're not looking for problems, so you're allowed to lechetchila wear colored underwear. And we always tell people, don't make it difficult for the Rabbanim, don't wear off-white, just wear colored, and then it's going to be okay. If it's a lot of blood, then you'll ask. Now, very important, one of the things which I hold is one of the most serious mistakes which people make in Hilchos Niddah. Everyone knows about this, as we said, less than a penny is okay. And people use the same thing for a bedika. Very important. A bedika has no leniencies of the sides. Always good. Check it with your Rav, because the different colors, which will make it a niddah or not niddah, but the size is not going to make any difference on a bedika cloth. Now, just very quickly, to succeed in marriage and in life, everyone needs to have a Rav. I always tell people the shailas on bedikas and kesamim that you're asking your Rav is more that you should be in touch with your Rav more than the shailas. Hashem sends people shailas on the bedikas, although you should have someone to talk to. But everyone needs a Rav. And then there's one more case where you become a niddah. Interesting halacha. If a lady says that she became a niddah for the joke of it, the halacha is she actually becomes a niddah. So it's not a good joke, and it just teaches the people the power of speech. When you do a bedika, very, very important for women that are not sure with themselves. If you do a bedika and you think it's good, trust yourself. You don't have to show it to your husband. If you think it's good, it's good. You don't need to look at it with a microscope. Just, it looks basically good, is good. And from a husband point of view, the husbands have to trust the wives. No, a husband is not allowed to ask, it's not allowed to ask the wife, let me see it, because he doesn't trust her. The Gemara says, the Gemara teaches us, when people are not sure about this halacha, can I really trust my wife? The Gemara says that the whole yisoid about eid echon nem b'yisron, which means that we rely on a person. Someone tells you this meat is kosher. I shechted this behema, so it's kosher. You learn it out because the Torah says by niddah, the sufferer Allah, she counts it for herself. In other words, the whole source of being that we believe one person is because the Torah says we'll believe the women. So this is about bedikas. Toilet paper, typical shailas. We always tell people that if you don't look, you have any problems. But of course, when you tell people don't look, people actually, by mistake, they do look. So the basic opinion is if you wipe yourself after, you wait a half a minute after urinating and then you wipe yourself, then is the basic opinion that it's going to be okay. But you can always check with your personal Rav what he holds. So this is the basic ways how you become a niddah. Again, period, childbirth, miscarriage, and staining, or bedikas, or dakta. I'm going to now go to the most important set of halachas, what you're not allowed to do in the niddah days. But before we speak about what you're not allowed to do in the niddah days, we'd like to give some deeper understanding of all the halachas. Many people really, really struggle with the difficulty of the 12 days of non-touching. And people don't get the message how it's going to help our marriage. One person told me the niddah days are so difficult, so he plans his business day trips in the niddah days, just to run away, to be away from his wife that shouldn't have any nisyonos. But of course, that's not what Hashem wants from us. There's a few goals what Hilchos Niddah does to a couple. Many times, I'll be talking to a chassan and kala from a couple which are not yet from, and they don't know, never heard of the whole concept about niddah. And we're going to approach it to them where you speak from a real marital point of view, people really get the message. The famous idea, what the Gemara tells us, the Gemara says just a very simple thing, and it's a real fact in most marriages in the outside world, that marriage gets boring. Any enjoyment that you have constantly day in, day out, does get boring, which is actually a real factor in the world. Most marriages fall apart, marital burnout. And even in the outside world, when a person comes to a therapist with this problem, they reach the 3-year itch, they advise them to take a couple of weeks break, and a couple of weeks break, it can re-enhance your marriage. But it only works for another few months till they get bored again, then it's already too late. The Torah is not for problematic people. The Torah is that we should have an amazing, happy life. So Chazal tell us, the Gemara says these words, Tanya Hoyramea Oima Mipnei Armatorah Niddah. Why does the Torah say the concept of Niddah? Says the Gemara, Shei Adam Rogilba, the Kotzba. The Gemara actually uses this word. A person gets used to his wife and he actually gets bored of her, disgusted of her. So we have this Niddah, which is going to make people excited. In other words, and if the Niddah days are difficult, and I have to count down the days, 7 days left, 6 days left, 5 days less, then it's really doing a good job. So this is a Gemara thing which a Gemara says. Now, many people still struggle with this, but there's much more to this than just about missing each other. For husband and wife to become one, which is the ultimate goal of marriage, the ultimate oneness, the ultimate union of a husband and wife. Besides the amazing, all the shalom bias and everything which a husband and wife are doing the whole time, there are two main factors which connect husband and wife together. There's a physical part of marriage, and there is a communication part of marriage. Now, one without the other doesn't work. Communication, a marriage where there's just communication, they'll be good friends, so they'll be bored of each other. A marriage where there's just physical will finally get bored of each other. For a healthy marriage, you need real communication time and real physical time. Now, in the outside world, when they teach communication together with touching each other, which is a very sad point, because by typical human beings, when a husband and wife are talking and touching, by most people at least, the mindset is more, definitely by the guys, the mindset is much more on the physical part than on the communication, which makes a marriage, the physical on a high and the communication on a low. Such a marriage cannot exist. In order for a marriage to be amazing, Hashem gives us beautiful marriage with two parts of it. We have the non-Niddah days, which is most of the month, where a couple are connecting themselves from a physical point of view. And then we have the Niddah days, which a couple really, really connects itself from the communication. In other words, spending time together, husband and wife spending time together, just focusing on talking, on getting close, is what connects a couple together. One without the other just doesn't work. And now, together with this, we'll try and explain it deeper. A husband tells his wife, beautiful words, I love you. Now, many times, an honest husband has a deep question. And many women also have this question. Does my husband really love me, or he just loves my body? It's a sad question, but this is an honest fact by many people. And I've asked this question to many people. How do you know with a clarity that you really love your wife? How does your wife really know with a clarity that your husband really loves me? Most people don't have a good answer to this. I have one very powerful answer. How you are together in the Niddah days. In other words, what level is your marriage in the Niddah days? Is marriage boring, not exciting, hashkaneven for one and each other because we can't touch? That exactly shows you your level of your marriage. Now, before I continue, I have to make it very clear. Whenever I say this in public, if a person realizes that, yes, that is how my marriage is, no, it's not exciting the Niddah days, it's okay. There's always room for work. You can always work in your marriage, and our goal is not to put you down. Our goal is just to know how your marriage can be worked on. But continue now. The goal of the Niddah days is you're going to really, really show each other how much you love each other. How much is your wife, your spouse, worth for you? Is it enjoyable spending time together, or all what you have from each other is each other's body? So the Niddah days are really days when you're growing together. Now, even the type of speech is going to be limited, not the amount of speech, the type of speech, because you're getting the message. It's nothing about physical objects. It's about real inner connection. The Mefarshim say, beautiful idea. Ashabar sasam simchas mekala. Gila, rina, ditza, chedva. Ahava achva shalom v'reus. Gila, rina, ditza, v'chedva is dancing, laughing, and fun. Ahava achva shalom v'reus is love, brotherhood, and Ahava achva shalom v'reus is real friendship and love. So the Mefarshim say that this is the two parts of the marriage. The non-Niddah days is Gila, Rina, Ditza, v'chedva. The Niddah days is Ahava, Achva, Shalom, v'reus. The real connection is built in the Niddah days. Now, when a couple really get this message, afterwards, the non-Niddah days is a million times more enjoyable. The whole intimate part of the marriage is not, God forbid, just two physical objects being together. It's two amazing friends that built up such an inner connection. And now, after the mikveh, now it's a completion of this connection, this inner connection that a couple has built up. But without the Niddah days, there's nothing to it. It's just two physical objects which will never and could never become close. There's too many people that just don't understand the goal of Niddah. Everyone tells me, so many people tell me, I've heard of this from so many women, that they don't know they haven't known the husband from the last 2 weeks. So Niddah, before we begin the halachos, we're gonna focus on it. It's gonna be time when you actually, more than the amount of time that a husband and wife spends together in the non-Niddah days, should be spent in the Niddah days, just actually getting closer to each other. Talking, understanding each other, learning more things about each other that you didn't know. Showing each other that we're not objects, we're amazing. We have a beautiful inner connection, because we really have feelings for each other. We really care about each other. So this is the first understanding ideas of Niddah. And again, let's quickly go over not being bored of each other. And it doesn't necessarily mean husband of the wife. Of course, it means the wife of the husband as well. Neither of them should be bored of each other. Both of them, of husband and wife, should have an excitement. Now, after understanding the other concept of Niddah, the excitement that you will have for each other is much stronger. Because if it's just a physical, external connection, as we said, it fades away. If it's an inner connection, then it builds up, it gets stronger and stronger. A sad fact in the rest of the world, even marriages which do last, there's no, the physical connection afterwards slowly fades away. But as you every single month building up this inner connection by spending time, not running away from each other, and just actually spending time. Niddah days are not time. The goal of Niddah is not for your hand to be handcuffed and just run away from each other. When a couple does that, yes, so they're keeping the black and white law. They're not going to be punished for being over Niddah. But Rahman Islam, they're not going to have the blessings of a beautiful marriage. The goal is a beautiful marriage. Connect yourself. You have so much more in common than the physical part of the marriage. And then, as we said, by really this deep inner connection, the physical part becomes real, and the physical part is a million times more enjoyable. Now, of course, there are times, everything in life, there's a basic explanation for the basic people, which means People do go through hardships. One person can have a period last much longer than another. And then some people, even during pregnancy, have these issues. Then people ask me, so why did I have a miscarriage? That's definitely not going to help my marriage. It's all these questions are definitely much more on an individual point of view. Everything is understood. So, and now, of course, we don't have an answer for every individual's private sufferings. Some people tell me, no, I don't become any closer from my wife in the niddah days. Okay, so try a bit harder. And in so 9 months of pregnancy, she doesn't become a niddah. There's the way the woman's hormones work then is not always as exciting, the physical part of it. So sometimes automatically the husband has to just spend more time showing emotions then. And on the flip side, after 9 months of pregnancy, then it's okay if the niddah days afterwards are even longer. And especially when then it's a real new time of bonding with a child. Miscarriages is definitely a very difficult topic to talk about. So Hashem should just help all the Yiddish kinder that we shouldn't have these issues. But from the basic point of view, understanding the normal lifestyle of a Yiddish family, how our niddah really helps our marriage. And it's not just an excuse to explain the Torah, chas v'shalom. Hashem guides us with a beautiful lifestyle, and our marriages, look around from the world, our marriages are, Baruch Hashem, the best. But remember, ultimately, niddah is not a time to run away from each other. People that run away from each other are not keeping Hilchos Niddah. So again, it's a 12 days of building a real inner connection and this will enhance the days afterwards. When I talk to chassan and kalas, which are really struggling, and for them it's a crazy idea, we try that everyone should get the message. It's a hug in the niddah days, or it's a beautiful 50th anniversary. Focus on it that way. That the Chazal know what's good for us. And yes, it's painful that we cannot touch, but it's much more, however, above the pain of not touching is the beauty of building a connection. And yes, when a couple do not do the right things and they don't spend the right time with each other in the niddah days, then the niddah days are actually a million times more painful, and it doesn't work. People that tell me niddah days are so difficult, I cannot control myself. I like telling people, I don't look at it as a Yiddishkeit, a weakness in Yiddishkeit. I look at it as a weakness in marriage. Because if you really love each other, then you'll really enjoy spending time even when you're not touching. So now we're going to try and go through basic halachos with a few understandings in introduction to the halachos. All these halachos, Chazal, with their Ruach HaKodesh, they knew very strongly that just telling people not to touch will not work. We need many guidelines, and any honest person will agree that with all the guidelines, we still need even more. So in the halachos, there's 3 types of halachos. One type of halacha is just you're too close. Keep aside a part that you shouldn't be touching. Then there are ideas which is not that you're even from the other side of the room. Certain things can arouse each other to do things that you shouldn't be doing. And then there's a third type of halakha. It doesn't have to be based on that I'm going to touch. It doesn't have to be based on that if I don't do it, I'll be aroused. It's pasha. The idea is by keeping this halacha, you have the shmira of the chachamim that you're protected. The definition of a siyag, a fence, which means chacham are protecting you. I'll give you an example. I was speaking once to a couple a few months after the chasana, and Nebuch, they told me that they were over niddah. And he excused himself, he couldn't control himself. Now, I'm not going to argue with him. Yes, you could control yourself. I mean, of course, we're not robots, but I asked him something else. I asked him, are you makpid about having a hecker on the table? The heck on the table, something. The halacha is that when you're eating together, you put something down on the table as a reminder. I asked him if he's makpid about that halacha. So, well, sometimes I forget, not really, yes, a bit. Bekitzer, he wasn't too makpid about this halacha. So I asked him like this, tell me, is there any taiva to touch each other? Of course, if you're human, Hashem created us with a taiva. Now, next, is there any taiva not to put something down on the table, or is it just, I'm not talking about a rebellious child, is there any taiva not to put something down on the table, or is it just laziness? Or not taking halacha seriously? That's the answer. So we have to get this message. The Chachamim are giving us things to do where there is no taiva not to do it. You just have to focus. By keeping the halachos of the Chachamim where there's no taiva not to do it, is just listen to them. The Chachamim are protecting you from where there is a taiva. So these siyagim, these laws of the Chacham, these halachos, is an actual protection for us not to be over Hilchos Niddah. And it's basically guaranteed. If a person keeps the halachos, he will be protected. God forbid, Rahman, when a person just breaks through the halachos, it's not just, I'm not careful about this. He's opening up himself to fall.
Does Rabbi Royde also see when people are actually not only makbid on their halachos, but they also are conscious about connecting in different ways, in an emotional way? Do they have an easier time? Because they're connecting, logically, I would think that they would have a harder time keeping those halachos as opposed to making it easier. Whereas totally disconnecting, I would think logically, and I understand it's not like that. I would just love to understand how it's not that way. When that totally disconnecting doesn't make it easier to keep to the halachos.
Good. Logic is difficult, but yes, absolutely, we see it. By keeping the halachos and yes, spending time, but again, with a mindset, I want to get closer to you. I want to get this inner connection to you. Yes, it 100% becomes much easier. We are human beings, so we have a taiva till 120. That is, I mean, as long as the person has koiches, we have taivas. That is how Hashem created us. But no question about it. When a person is really focused, right, he wants this inner connection. Yes, his taiva will be limited. Now, it goes together because thanks for asking. We'll just now strengthen what we said before. Let's go now to the non-niddah days. The connection that husband has with each other in the non-niddah days. When Chazal tell us that a marriage saves a person from sinning, it's because the inner connection which is built together, the physical intimate connection which is built together, actually satisfies a person much more when it's it's not just external. When it's just an external physical connection, then it just adds on taivas to a person. But when it comes with this inner connection, it actually satisfies them. So as we said, it's a whole cycle. The niddah days is a preparation for the non-niddah days. You're becoming close in the niddah days because you're doing this inner talking. Then it enhances the non-niddah days afterwards because being intimate together after the 12 days of building this inner connection enhances, it makes it a real physical connection afterwards. So once you have this the connection afterwards is more real, then it makes you're more satisfied to have an easier niddah days. Everything is one big, beautiful cycle, how Hashem makes our marriages. It's not that it's just two separate parts of the month. It's a whole cycle of building a connection.
That's beautiful. So underneath wanting that physical connection is really needing almost that emotional connection.
Absolutely. Yes.
Beautiful.
And this emotional connection, again, enhances the physical and it makes a physical real. Which satisfies a couple on a much stronger level.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for asking. Good. Okay, so now we're going to try and go through some of the some basic halachos. So we said the introduction, the 3 parts. Now I want to add on another thing. A very powerful message and understanding, together with this understanding halachos. As we're saying, the goal is to enhance your marriage. So I want to say something, it may sound crazy, but just to get to the point of it. From a black and white physical point of view, if we're trying to get to do all halachas that the husband, will focus on the husband, should not be aroused. Therefore, we're telling him not to do certain things. I ask everyone, there's 2 things which, from a typical a man's point of view, this is definitely a thing which will arouse him. Number 1, when the wife is dressed up nicely. Now, this is a strong thing which gets a husband excited. So I tell everyone, from a logical point of view, if we're afraid of that the wife's doing things which were going to get him excited, she should have to wear torn rags, old clothing in the Niddah days, not chas v'shalom to get the husband excited. But then I ask, so what will happen to the marriage? 12 days of not being excited, wanting to look at each other, of course will kill the marriage. So comes along the Gemara, says the Gemara, of course you're allowed to, right? In other words, we need your marriage. So even though, yes, this could be the most dangerous thing to catch a guy, but chas v'shalom, since the goal of Niddah days is to enhance your marriage, to get you closer, so there's not going to be any halacha whatsoever which will distance you from your wife. There are halachos which will stop you from touching her, but there's not going to be any halacha which is going to distance you from your connection. So yes, dress nice, have nice clothing with makeup. That's what the Gemara says, with jewelry. Yes, minimize the perfume, yes, because that's a different part. But from the dress-up page, absolutely. And now the same note, yichud, sleeping in the same bedroom is the most dangerous thing which will catch a couple. It really arouses them. But on the same note, what will happen to a marriage if every 12 days of Niddah you have to move out of each other? Which the goal is to connect you. So comes along the Gemara again. The Gemara says yichud is mutter. In other words, it's such a powerful idea. We're trying to connect you, and the whole goal is a connection. The whole goal is getting closer. So yes, anything which will get you closer, we're telling you to do. Anything which will, but on the other hand, anything which is going to anything which will make you think that your physical objects, we're telling you not to do. But we need your marriage, and we want you to enjoy spending time with each other. Yichud is 100% mutter, and dressing up is 100% mutter. And now you're going to have an amazing 12 days of Niddah, of getting closer. But remembering, don't do anything which will lead you to thinking of each other as objects. Okay, so let's just go through the basic set of halachas. Of course, no touching, no forms of touching. Clothing that while you're wearing the clothing, you then not touch each other. If you bump into each other, you say, I'm sorry, but besides that, just don't walk in a way that you shouldn't lechatchila be bumping into each other. If you're walking together and your wife slips, you catch your wife. I once gave this class, just interesting. I once gave this class, and I said this statement that if your wife is slipping, you catch her. So someone asked me, where does it say the halacha? So my answer was, if it ever happens, first catch and then call me. Call me. Don't do the opposite. Don't call me first.
Good,
okay. Next, no touching, no passing things to each other is the most famous halacha, and so many people are just so upset about it. It's the halacha which we really have to be focused. But it's an amazing halacha to remember. Stay focused. Now, why will this just handing over? Why is it going to touch? Why will it get me excited? So my answer is always 2 answers. Number 1, yes, we want your connection to be so strong that the slightest thing will get you touched. But it's okay, even if it doesn't. This is a halacha which it's going to keep you stay focused. Now, of course, it doesn't mean embarrassing each other. Don't show everyone that your wife is a niddah by especially not giving it over in public. You do it in a smart way. But the main thing is the halacha is even in public. But of course, You're not, and no one's allowed to embarrass each other. But so you do it in a smart way. If you have to give over something, do it in a way that it's not going to be noticed. Part of marriage is husband and wife own relationship. No one has to know when she's a niddah. No one has to know when you're not a niddah. It's your marriage is private. But the main thing is the halacha is the same. Okay, this is all about the touching. Same thing about throwing things to each other. If you want to play ping pong, there are opinions that hold you're allowed to, because it's not actually throwing. Good. Eating together. Eating is a thing. Eating together, the thing which actually brings people close. The Gemara says this: we don't eat from a non-Jew type of food because it brings close. And till 120, a couple is supposed to eat together, and every time you eat together, it should bring you close. So there's halachas about it. Halacha number one is, as we said before, you need a reminder on the table. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. Make it a beautiful thing. Put flowers down on the table. Make it a nice thing. And no one in the world has to know that this is a heka besides you and your wife. And this is the only halacha which is only needed when you are eating alone. When you're eating with other people. It doesn't mean when there's other people in the room. If you're eating in a restaurant, but you're eating alone, then you need a heka. But again, no one has to know what the heka is. No one has to know that you don't need the salt on the table. You're not eating salt, so you can have the salt as a heka. But when you are eating with other people, then it's not needed. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be between you two. The main thing is something on the table. Next, the husband. This is halacha special for the husband. In a couple of cases in Hilchos Niddah, we're more strict about the husband because we don't trust guys, basically. So therefore, we're more strict. The husband is not allowed to eat or drink his wife's leftovers.
Rabbi Royde, is it really that we don't trust guys, or can we clarify that?
So the halacha is certain things which is not that enticing. So the halacha is we're more strict about the husband because the second he has a taiva, he'll do something. And if a wife has a taiva, she'll have to make her husband do something. So it's just one step further. So therefore the halacha is in two areas, we're just more strict by the men.
Got it. Sure. Okay.
Right. So again, no eating or drinking her leftovers. If she's finished, she had a drink and she only wants half of it, and then he pours it over into his cup, many are lenient about that. Same thing about the food, transfers it to his plate. Same thing is eating and drinking from the same plate. If it's a type of food which normal people eat from their own plate, so then you may not eat together from the same plate. If you have a big plate of on the table of big pieces of challah, so it is an official communal plate, and so therefore you can take the challah and eat it that way. You're both allowed to use the same cream cheese, the same peanut butter, the same butter to schmear from. One more. Now, next halacha. This halacha there's different opinions exactly about this halacha. So the easiest mahalach, and if your Rav makes it easier or makes it more strict, you'll follow him. When you're serving each other a drink or food, the best halacha is do it with a slight shinu. Pour it with your left hand, put it instead of right in front of your husband or wife, put it 2 inches away. That's it. A very slight shinu to be noticeable. Wine, next halacha, wine is a special closeness. Wine makes people close. So, and wine, and grape juice has a lot of wine for these things. So after drinking kiddush or wine, you don't even send it to your wife. You just leave it by your place and she shall take it. When you have with a family and you're sending a few cups, you can send to your wife together with all the people around her. This is basic halachas about eating.
Can I just ask Rabbi Royde? Somebody was asking if just want to make sure by the Shabbos table where there are other people around that there's no hecker necessary. Is that right. What Rabbi Royde said?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
About grape juice is once grape juice is people that take grape juice as kiddush and wine. So that is basic. That is a basic typical halacha. Anyone who, if your Rav allows you grape juice, then absolutely, it's definitely a possible color which people go along with. Okay, next about seating together. The halacha is, the black and white halacha is, we'll call it a hammock, a swing bench. That is definitely not allowed, husband and wife on a swing bench together. Couches, when I got married, the old-fashioned couches was one big slush. You all fall into the couch. Those were not allowed. Nowadays, our types of couches, different seats, as long as you're not intentionally bumping into each other, or you're sitting in a way that you don't have to be bumping into each other, couches are okay. Many people do make a fuss about a couch, but the black and white halacha is couches are okay. But the basic halacha explanation is something that when you sit down, the other one can feel it. A bed, not yours or your wife's bed. A bed, so you sit down on it, it has springs, everyone feels it. The same thing is about rowing. Going on a small rowing boat has the same type of halacha. You feel it. Going on a seesaw, there is also all these things. When one sits down, the other one can feel the other one's movement. Therefore, it's not allowed. Next, beds. Beds is a very dangerous area. Beds have to be apart. Exactly how much space has to be in between the beds, I like telling people the space should be enough that if you roll over in the middle of the night, you should fall down on the floor instead of falling on your wife's bed. So there's idea about an amma, but that's how we explain it. But the main thing is the beds have to be apart. Now here as well, there's one slightly thing that we're more strict about husband. The husband is not allowed to sit on her bed in front of her, and he's not allowed to lie on her bed unless she's out of town. Out of town does not mean Monsey and Barpak. Out of town means she's away. Now this, by a wife, it's one step closer. That means she's allowed to sit on the bed in front of him, and she's just not allowed to lie on his bed in front of him. You're not allowed to make the other one's, your spouse's bed, extra nice in front of the other one. Just straightening out the room is okay, a beautiful thing to do, but making it extra nice, and especially before you go to sleep, no one needs a smooth sheet blanket before you're going to sleep. So that is just a love romantic type of thing that you're not allowed to do, but you're allowed to do it when the other one is out of the room. The same type of halacha, not about beds, but about doing something in front of your spouse. You're not allowed to fill up a bathtub, your spouse's bathtub, in front of your spouse for them. Different types of waters, preparing negelbas and preparing netilas yadayim, even bringing in soap into the bathroom, that all this could be done. Special halacha about filling up the bathtub. Then now there's a few, these are the basic, now there's a few more halachas. Any part of the body which is supposed to be covered in public, the husband is not allowed to gaze at. And the word is gazing at, the word is not seeing. I like telling people, in Yiddishkeit, the Torah never says you're not allowed to see. We're not allowed to look at immodest things. Shmiras Anayim means guarding your eyes, not to look at non-good things. I like saying there's one thing in the Torah where the Torah says you're not allowed to see. One halach in the Torah. You're not allowed to see your friend struggling and ignoring it. That's the only time, in the Torah where the Torah says don't see. Everything else is don't look. So about Hilchos Niddah, any part of her which is supposed to be covered in public, you don't gaze at. And specific areas you want to ask about, her feet or her wrist, or her elbow, or even the hair, it's individual question. Speak to your Rav about it. Not listening to your wife singing, intentionally listening to her singing. If needed, this is also an area where some poskim allow. Speak to your Rav. Not intentionally smelling a perfume. Now, the type of talk. Remember, the goal of Niddah is that we're amazing best friends. ahava, achve, shalom, vereus, but nothing to do with the physical part of you. So therefore, that is how the talk is going to be. Now, saying the word "I love you" is okay, but stop over there. And also, there's different tones how a husband and wife can say the word "I love you." But the main thing is and again, it's no intimate, no mushy, lovey, sexual type of talk. It's a real powerful talk. Compliments, of course, is a beautiful thing to do. And as we said, all Hilchos Shalom bias is even more important in the Niddah days. So this is basic halachos. And now let me just add on a very important message. It's a very important thing for people to know, a very positive thing about keeping the halachos. Chazal tell us, and the Torah tells us, being over niddah, very strict punishment, taharas. And now, I want to get to a positive thing to explain this. There's another halacha in the Torah. First part of it sounds very strict, but we're going to get to the positive part. The Torah says, certain types of averos, a person sins, a person can be punished for 4 generations. He sins, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren could be punished for his averos. Very strict. But then the Torah says a beautiful thing, that for mitzvahs, you do mitzvahs, reward is 2,000 generations. Punishment is 4, reward is 2,000. 4 into 2,000 is 500. Comes along Chazal, teaches this very powerful message. Reward is 500 times more than the punishment. In other words, whatever the punishment is, by controlling yourself is 500 times better. So for a person to be over niddah, Rahman al-Islam, once with his wife, his over niddah, the punishment of taharas. So therefore, let's be positive, once controlling yourself is 500 times better. So take the 12 days of niddah. 12 days of niddah, every second that you're together. And the only reason why you're not touching is because Torah says don't. The only reason why you're putting the heka down on the table is the only reason why you're not passing things is because Chazal tell me I shouldn't become to be over Hilchos Niddah. So every second of the day, every detail of these halachas, 500 times better than taharas, 500 times better than taharas, 500 times better than taharas. And this is very important to know. Sometimes when I talk to, everyone's good, but people that, of course, no shaila, and most people, 99% of the people, of course we keep the Torah. I don't have to, why do we have to explain the milas of it? Some people think that this is very good. I worked about Tshuva, so some people think, yeah, when you work about Tshuva, you have to say the milas of keeping mitzvahs. But for talking for hamishpacha, of course, everyone keeps it. This is what people would say, but a Mishnah Makkos tells me the opposite. When was the last time anyone on this meeting over here had a taiva to drink a cup of blood or to eat a mosquito from the ground? I don't think there's anyone here that had this type of taiva. So says a Mishnah, it's a Mishnah in the end of Makkos, you can check it if you don't believe me. The Mishnah says like this, if blood, bugs and insects, which a person is disgusted from it, the Torah says don't eat any blood, don't eat any bugs, you will get reward for it. Al achas kama v'kama, all the more so when it comes to taivas like arayas, immorality, which niddah is one of these categories, of all the more so that a person does have a taiva, all the more so by keeping away from it, how much sechah he's going to be getting for all eternity, for all generations. Even if, of course, I'm going to keep it, I'm going to be keeping, I don't need to be told many times. Beautiful. So this is basic halachos.
There were a few questions that came in regarding halachos. Can I ask Rabbi for some clarification?
Yeah.
Okay. The first question is, are halachos halacha or are they more mesoira and chumras? If Rabbi could just confirm that, clarify that.
So what's the Jews always answer back with a question, right? What's the definition with a chumrah? Everything which I said is black and white Shulchan Aruch. Now, I didn't give any chumras. I mean, I explained it, but everything comes from Shulchan Aruch, and many even actually comes from the Gemara. So, what is the concept about davening Ma'ariv? What's the concept about not touching muksa? What's the concept about lighting Shabbos candle? What's the concept about yes, is it black? It doesn't say in the Torah that you're not allowed to pass. No, the Torah doesn't say it. The Torah says that the Torah does say, different than other things, the Torah says loy sikravu legalois erva. Loy sikravu means don't do things which will make you close. Based on that, the Chachamim were extremely strict. So it is black. The halachos are black and white Shulchan Aruch.
Right.
And the chumras which some achronim say, I did not say.
Right. Okay, good. Yeah, so that's very, very clear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking if a vacation was planned and then the wife becomes a niddah, do they have to cancel the vacation? Is that a personal thing, or is that something that...
It is a personal thing, because it's almost impossible to plan vacations perfectly. You only have, if you're working, you only have certain amount of days where you can take off. And if you planned it, and yes, it always does happen. So black and white halacha, it's going to be called a gray area. I do tell people that putting aside halacha, you're not going to enjoy the vacation. The vacation is not going to be that enjoyable if you're going then. But to say it's asa, no, we cannot say it's asa.
Okay.
And of course,
yes,
you're going to have to be, as I said, it's a gray area. You're going to have to be much more careful, and you'll just have to be, you accept the fact that it's the vacation will be less romantic, but the amount of sechah which a couple are going to get when they went on a vacation and she became a niddah, for eternity, they're going to be benefiting from it.
Right.
Now, someone asked before about passing a baby.
Yeah.
So the halacha is about passing a baby. Again, the lenient opinion that if the child is old enough to pull itself out to the other one, then it's okay.
Beautiful. And then a question not on halachos in general, but more in general, that Rabbi Royde was saying about not everybody should know that the woman is that they're in the couple is in their niddah period. During the times of the Beis Hamikdash, a woman dressed differently during the niddah period. So somebody was asking for clarification on that.
That's a very good question. I actually just spoke to someone this week about it. It's a very good question. That yes, in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, it was a different type of lifestyle. And Be'ez Hashem, we're all getting ready for it. So we're gonna have to start this again. I like telling Chassanim that as soon as a Mashiach is gonna come before the Chassanas, they'll have to learn the halachos again, but not with me, because it's a completely different subject. Hilchos tahara. Yes, in those days, living with the concept about tahara was a different type of style. And yes, everyone had to know. And to make it, sorry, people are not going to like what I'm going to say now, but it's too bad, right? It's the neighbors had to know that she was a niddah, because living with 100% tahara, purity, which means, and everyone, it was a different type of life, If a niddah touches something, the chair could become tamei. So the way our life was in the time business was a complete different thing. Now we want the Beis Hamikdash. Don't worry about this. It's going to be amazing, even with these halachas after when Mashiach comes. But yes, so it definitely was different then.
Different times, right? Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, thank you.
Right. Okay. So I want to continue now with the hefsek tahara, going to the shiva nekiyim, etc.
Beautiful.
Okay, now again, we're going to be learning the basic halachas. Many people here and there, as I said before, have received over the years different types of kulas. And yes, there's a reason why we have a Shulchan Aruch and a reason why we have Rabbanim, because it's not, there are halachas which are black and white for everyone, but there's definitely many halachas which Chazal initially said we're going to be more lenient, more strict for different types of people. The Gemara says, just to give you an example, outside Hilchos Niddah, the Gemara says, I've forgotten the name who it was. One Amoira said, I'll say the words that he said, Ani anoch chala legabe chamra. I'm like vinegar, the son of wine, regarding my father. And the Gemara says, nothing to do with Hilchos Niddah. The Gemara says, my father used to wait 24 hours from meat to dairy. No such halacha for us, but that's what my father done. I only wait the 6 hours from one meal to another meal. So now the Mefarshim bring out an important point. If my father done it, you should also do it, right? In other words, so if you agree it's a nice chumrah, you should also do it. But the answer is no. Certain chumras are good for certain people. So certain people have certain chumras. Now, on the same note, certain people can have certain colors. So I'm going to be saying the basics. I will say areas where, yes, some people could be makel, but again, everyone needs, not just good. Everyone needs their own personal Rav that knows them. And for these halachos, it's very important. Don't go from one Rav to another Rav, finding heterim, because you have your Rav that knows you. He's going to be able to help you. And by the way, people don't know this, but it's a job of a Rav to letahe isha lebaila. Meaning, if a Rav can make the wife tahor, showing a bedika, for example, it's a zechus for a Rav to be makel more than to be machmir. You're machmir for yourself and you're strict for you're machmir for yourself and you're lenient for others. Now, let me just add on. I think someone asked before, if I'm saying something that your Rav, you are taught otherwise, as you are taught more strict, continue going along with your Rav and seeing and finding out. Maybe you ask your Rav individually, but there are certain things which I was more lenient than other people could say, but I don't think I went away from Shulchan Aruch. Okay, so let's begin now the hefsek tahara to the Shiva Nekiyim. Someone becomes a niddah, irrelevant if it was from the period or from a bedika, from a kesef, whatever it was. In other words, irrelevant if the period if the period lasted for a few days or it was just a 1 second bedika which made a niddah. But once the halach is you become a niddah, so now you have to wait 5 days. The day that you begin seeing is day number 1. So if you got your period on Sunday, we'll take this week. Shkia is, let's say now 10 after 5. 5 o'clock, you got your period. So no question about it. Sunday is day number 1. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday is day number 5. If you became a niddah in Shkia time, 5:30, then there's possible room for leniencies, but I'm not gonna give the answer now. You'll ask your Rav. But no question about it. If you saw the end, you saw a minute before Shkia, according to all opinions, you count that day as day number 1. If you saw it at nighttime, 6:30, then you definitely have to begin counting from Monday. You saw it Shkia time, you'll ask your Rav. So again, we're going to stay with this story for the next few minutes. That the period became on Sunday. So again, Thursday is the 5th day. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On the 5th day, if you have stopped bleeding, some periods last for 6 days. If on the 5th day you have stopped bleeding, so then you're going to do the hefsek tahara. Now, let's just explain the goal of the hefsek tahara. The Torah says, before mikveh, the Torah says, v'safra la shivas yomim. You count 7 days. In other words, a Torah halacha, before a woman goes to mikveh, you have to have 7 days of counting, which means 7 consecutive days of not seeing any dam. Now, a day in the Torah begins from nighttime. Nighttime, we don't know when night is, so it begins from Shkia. So in other words, taking our story, next Thursday night, she'll be going to mikveh, based on the Sunday. So in other words, we have 7 days, Friday, Shabbat, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 days of definite not seeing any blood. In order to start to have 7 days, before the 7 days begin, you need to do what's called a hefsek tahara, making sure that you are not bleeding. That is the ultimate goal of the hefsek tahara. Hefsek tahara is a very clear thing. In order, you should have a 7 clean days afterwards. The 7 clean days have to begin 100% clean as in not seeing at this moment. Hilchos Niddah is 100% the same till you go to mikveh. But in order to have a 7 consecutive days, the day when the beginning of the day number 1 enters, you have to know with a clarity that you have stopped bleeding. So therefore, based on this, before the 7 clean days, you have to do a hefsek tahara. Let's say now what the hefsek tahara is. Before Shkia, again on the 5th day, 3 halachas. Halacha number 1 is you wash yourself, getting rid of all traces of blood from before. Then you're supposed to wait preferably a few minutes, and then you do a bedika. A good bedika, making sure that you have stopped bleeding. If the bedika is clean, we'll go to the next step. We'll speak about it in a second. If the bedika is not clean, now it's before Shkia, you can try again another bedika. Now, just practical, if on the bedika there's actual real red, fresh blood, it means you're still bleeding, waste of time trying, you just wait till the next day. If it's just a bit pinkish reddish, you can try again. Now, here's a mistake which people make. They heard about the concept by hefsek tahara about doing 2 bedikas. So in other times in their lives, when they weren't sure about bedika, people do 2 bedikas. I wasn't sure if this bedika is clean. In the middle of the 7 clean, I'm not sure, so I'm going to try again. On a vest day, people have made this mistake because I heard you're allowed to do 2 bedikas. So on a vest day, people also, with this mistake, they try again. But of course, it's wrong. The only time you're allowed to try another bedika is now. Because again, we know that for the last 5 days you are bleeding, and we want to make sure that when Shkia arrives, you have stopped bleeding. So take today the 5th day, Thursday, Shkia is 10 after 5. So let's say 4:45, you still had some red on you, but maybe 5 o'clock you have stopped. The main thing is the bedika before Shkia has to be clean. Right. Once the bedika is clean, you can continue with the next step. The bedika of the hefsek tahara is the most common bedika to have shyness on it. So don't initially tell yourself it's no good. I mean, yes, maybe try one more bedika, but if you're not sure about it, most times when people are not sure about it, when they show it to the Rav will say it is okay. But don't just push it off till the next day. This is the thing which, but this is a thing which some people really get it wrong. Women with bad OCD, they hear from the color teachers that every color is no good. So they just decided that the bedika was no good, and they wait again for the next day. The next day also have a stain on it. So don't decide it's no good. Check it with your Rav. You're allowed to, if you're not sure, you may assume that it is good and begin the next process. And the worst will happen, the Rav will tell you tomorrow that the bedika is not good. Now, in these halachas, back to here, the hefsek tahara has to be done before Shkia. I tell everyone, irrelevant what time you daven mincha, even if you daven mincha 40, 50 minutes after Shkia, I'm not saying that it's allowed, I'm just saying what some people do, right? It doesn't give you a heter for the hefsek tahara after Shkia. Hefsek tahara must be done, the bedika has to be done before Shkia. Now, if it's just, so take today, Shkia 5:10 roughly. If it's 5:09 and you remember you have to do it, so then don't wash yourself, do a bedika without washing yourself. Better than pushing off for the next day. Wash, now even though washing is an actual Shulchan Aruch, you are supposed to wash, but it's more important to do the bedika that day than to wait till the next day. If it's 2 minutes into Shkia, and you just realize I was supposed to do hefsek tahara today, it's 2 minutes into Shkia. So I tell everyone, do a bedika, and then call your Rav. Don't call your Rav first, because you may lose an extra minute by calling your Rav. Do a bedika and tell the Rav what time you've done the bedika. Okay.
Rabbi Royde, just a question that came in that I feel like it's on this topic. Asking about the color brown and pink on a bedika? Is that a question that needs to be asked to Rav, or can a woman decide that brown and pink is fine?
I don't like answering this question. Every brown and pink is different. So I do tell people that once they've shown, someone comes to me and they'll ask me this particular thing, I'll be able to tell them when you see this color, if you can pass them for yourself.
Wow.
But outside that, I don't answer this in public, because exactly yellow, brown, red, pink is such a fine color. So I don't give this answer in public.
Right.
Once someone shows me a bedika, I will be able to tell them if this is a type of bedika that you can answer for yourself.
Right. Okay, makes a lot of sense.
It's too delicate to answer this in public, because I'm telling you, it's such a fine difference.
Right. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah.
But there's no question about it. There are many colors which you could answer yourself. But as I said, I can't describe the word a yellow, a brown, or pink, right? I can just have to show you. It's too general. Yeah,
it makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so continuing on with the hefsek tahara, that on the fifth day. In the middle of the winter, when shkia is much earlier, and you have to do a bedika by 4 o'clock, whatever. So, and she's at work. So I give everyone, first I tell people a hashkafa answer, but then the hashkafa is just to get the message, but then I make it easy for them. The hashkafa answer, I always tell people that you'll leave work early for your friend's chasana, so this is more important. But that's just a hashkafa. But practically, it's no problem. You can wash yourself in the morning and do go to the bathroom, do a bedika. It's no major thing. If you missed shkia, then yes, you have to wait till the next day. And even if you're doing the hefsek on the 6th day, it's the same thing, always done before shkia. If you've done a bedika in the morning on the 5th day and you didn't do it in the afternoon, most cases it's going to be okay. Check it with your Rav. But lechatchila is definitely, lechatchila you're supposed to do it just before shkia. But again, if you've done it in the morning, on the 5th day, the hefsek was done in the morning, most cases it's okay. Next halacha. After you done the bedika, it came out good, then halacha tells you another thing called a moich dachuk. A moich dachuk, which means you put another bedika cloth inside the vagina and you leave it there till night. You don't have to be strict about 72 minutes. There's much more leniencies, and if it's difficult for someone, so many times we allow 20 minutes, everyone check it with your Rav, and certain times when it's the whole moich dachuk is difficult, so there's leniencies about it, but it's not no general leniency. Check it with your Rav. But halacha does mention, the Shulchan Aruch does mention the concept about a moich dachuk.
Right.
Okay.
And somebody's asking, Rabbi Royde mentioned about doing a bedika in work and washing in the morning. What color underwear would the woman wear if she did it like that? Washed in the morning and did a bedika later?
You can wait till night and put on white.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, if the hefsek is done on Friday, same halachas, there is a lechatchila diga halacha to do the bedika before candlelighting. But even candlelighting, whenever 15-18 minutes before shkia, it's a lechatchila to do the bedika before candlelighting, but it's not b'diavad, preferably. If you have to do the hefsek tahara on Shabbos, same halacha, just you'll wash yourself in a Shabbos digger way without not taking a bath, no hot water, not with a washcloth. You do it with your hands. Even on Tisha B'Av, you're allowed to wash yourself below for the hefsek. If you are in a place where there is no Eruv, or politically you don't hold of the Eruv, then you're not allowed to go outside with a moich. That's called carrying. Now, just again, if you're afraid about doing a bedika, you're afraid about missing the shkia, then absolutely do a bedika do the hefsek in the morning. Because many people they forget. So if you're afraid about forgetting, do it in the morning, and it's probably going to be okay. So yes, you could do it in the morning. Better if it's too uncomfortable to do it later. Okay, now we're beginning the 7 shiva nakim, 7 clean days.
Rabbi Roy,
Halacha says,
just one more question, if you don't mind, I'm interrupting. I just wanted to clarify over here. Is this something that Rabbi Roy could say, like generally, or is it more on a person by person basis? Asking when is there any guideline to use when we need to ask a shaila and when we could say it's totally fine with a kesem, with a stain, not with a bedika?
so a kesem, what I said before, you definitely yes, you could pass on yourself. Less than a penny on colored underwear, you could definitely pass on yourself. If it's a lot of blood, then you'll ask a shaila. But on a bedika, if you've had the authority from your Rav to tell you that this color is okay, then you can pass on yourself. But other things you should ask.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. Shiva Nakiyim. Halacha tells us, here's a big discussion. Halacha says, Shulchan Aruch says two things. That you wear white. The clothing closest to your body should be white. And halacha actually says, Shulchan Aruch says that you have a white sheet on the bed. Nowadays, in those days, in the times of Shulchan Aruch, there was no such a thing as underwear. So in other words, there's no tight clothing around you. Therefore, it's possible that you can a drop of blood will go straight to your bed without going on your clothing. So therefore, that is the halacha about a sheet. Nowadays, there are poskim which hold that you don't need a white sheet because if you're wearing white underwear, it's impossible for the blood to go through the underwear to the sheet. On the other hand, some poskim say, even if logically there's no reason for it, but if Shulchan Aruch says a sheet, Shulchan Aruch says a sheet. So I tell everyone, a white underwear is a must, and a sheet you'll ask your Rav. But again, white underwear, there's no two ways about it, and the sheet, there's definitely poskim to hold you don't need it. Okay, clear?
Yes, very clear. Very clear. Somebody's asking again. I think Rabbi Royde covered this already, but just to clarify, they can on day 5, if the bleeding stopped, she can do a bedika in the morning, go to work, and then just do the moich afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Again, that's when you have to. Lechatchila, you should have to obey it, but no question about it. If you're afraid that you're going to forget, then yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so and aware about a white nightgown is also part of the shaila. Shulchan Aruch doesn't say the word nightgown. Shulchan Aruch just says the clothing, which underwear and a sheet. Now, other poskim say, since if you're going to be having a sheet, you should have a white nightgown as well. So I'm not sure if the answer is minhag or your Rav. So, but again, check it. A white underwear is a must. In most cases, as I said, if you forgot to do the moich, it's okay. And if you put in the moich after shkia, it's also okay as long as the bedika was before shkia. So now, Hilchos Niddah. Most people already know about the leniency that from the 7 days, day number 1 and day number 7 is okay. But Shulchan Aruch does say, go back to the core of the halacha. Shulchan Aruch does say you're supposed to Shulchan Aruch actually does, I'll be honest, Shulchan Aruch used the word lechatchila. Interesting word. Shulchan Aruch said these. Lechatchila, you're supposed to do 2 bedikas a day, which means this is a general attitude to do 2 bedikas a day from all 7. However, Shulchan Aruch says if you missed out, in other words, you only done day number 1 and day number 7, it's still okay. The problem about lechatchila doing day number 1 and day number 7, if you forget day number 7, you're in a big problem because you may have to start a complete 7 days again. Different answer to this shaila. So if you've done at least a day number 4 and you forgot 1, 4, and 7, right? You missed day number 7. So question if you have to count 7 days, you have to count another 3 days because you've done number 4. But if you didn't do day number 7, you just on day number 1, some poskim will tell you that you have to begin another complete 7 days. So therefore, you gain from doing an extra mid of the week. If bedikas are painful, then check it with your Rav. Sometimes you can make the bedika a bit wet and do a bedika that way. I just saw before, just side, Reb Shlomo Zalman writes, even on Shabbos, you're allowed to make a bedika cloth wet. Do a bedika slightly wet, even on Shabbos. Okay. So again, back to the basic halacha, the 7 clean days, bedikas twice a day, once in the morning, once before Shkia. Any question on the bedika, ask. And exactly what time the bedikas are supposed to be. If it's mamish the second you wake up, halacha don't say. One in the morning, one before Shkia. If you want to take your coffee first before you have a bedika, it's okay. But, right. If on one of these bedikas there is some dam, there's some blood on one of the bedikas, so first check it with your Rav, because even if you think it's blood, you may gain by asking your Rav, he may tell you it's not. But if, yes, it is blood, then the halacha is very clear, you have to start again. The 7 days have to be consecutive, but you don't have to start the 5 days again, just the 7 days start again. So let's take our story. Friday was day number 1 of the 7. So Friday, Shabbos, Sunday morning, the bedika, there was blood on it. So you begin again. On Sunday, you're going to have to do a Sunday afternoon. This time it will have to be in the afternoon because since you saw blood in the morning, Sunday afternoon, you do a hefsek and begin again Sunday night. Now, just for practical advice, when someone comes to me, let's say on the 5th day, if I see blood on a bedika on the 5th day, my initial approach will not be that it doesn't really, from a practical point of view, there's no reason to have a blood on a bedika on the 5th day. So I'll assume this very likely comes some type of cut, some type of wound over there, and I would send them to a boidekes, because most times blood on the 5th day does come from a small cut, a small wound. Okay, so continuing on with the 7 clean days from Friday, Shabbos, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday is the 7th day. And once all the bedikas are good, everything was good, Thursday night, going to get ready to go to mikveh. Okay. And as I said, just the first bedika in the morning, whatever, don't have to be the first, second in the morning. The afternoon one also doesn't have to be exactly before Shkia. Can't set up to a day. Okay. Now on the 7th day, getting ready for mikveh. Going to mikveh at nighttime is, we learn this out from the pasuk. 7 complete days of being a niddah, of the counting, therefore the end, and the Torah says afterwards you go to mikveh. So after the 7 days is when you go to mikveh.
Rabbi Royde, just a quick question. Somebody's asking if somebody stained a little bit less than the amount that would make them a niddah, and the period only started, the flow only started the next day. Are we counting the day that? Are we going like the mafreya that because there was a stain that was part of the niddah period, or does it start when the flow starts?
The day that you stop touching, meaning a stain that was enough to make you stop touching. Now, if I'll say this type of shaila, let's say Sunday someone saw a stain, so they weren't sure. They were going to take it to the Rav. They only got hold of the Rav on Monday, right? And on Monday they got the period. But on Sunday they abstained themselves from touching because they thought it was dam. Then I would be lenient to count from Sunday. But otherwise, if it's just a stain which will not make you a niddah, then you do have to count from the day that you became a niddah.
Okay. The day that the blood flow started.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Getting ready for mikveh is a very big discussion, complicated. Since mikveh is a Torah de halacha, so therefore min ha-Torah is a concept about not having a chatzitza. That's the whole chafifa, is getting rid of the chatzitzas. Now, exactly the level of chatzitzas, from most chatzitzas nowadays are Most chatzitzas are not minat Torah, most midrabanan, but it doesn't matter. We keep the rabbanas are just as serious. However, Shulchan Aruch adds on even things which are not a real chatzitza. Says the Shulchan Aruch, lechatchila, you should not be toivel. You should not toivel with anything, even something which is not a real chatzitza. Which most of the chafifa is based on the things which for the lechatchila de galacha. So back to the times of Chazal, which for some reason, back for the times of Chazal, and this is a halacha which even today, there are many points which are lenient, but the concept stays. In the times of Chazal, since you have to do chafifa, and in those days, no street lamps, people were not outside at nighttime. So therefore, if you're going to be doing the whole cleaning process at nighttime, and you're going to be going to mikveh at nighttime in the dark, scary streets out there, in going through a forest to go to the mikveh, so people are going to rush. They'll do the chafifa very quickly in order because they have to already be home and rush to a mikveh. And the Chazal did not want this to happen. So therefore, the Chazal said that the chafifa has to be done at daytime. And halacha adds on that if you're going to do the chafifa, the whole cleaning process at nighttime, then you do have to do it slowly. Halacha brings down, the Ramah brings down, it should take you an hour. That is what the Ramah says. An hour, now we're talking about the hour. It definitely doesn't mean sitting in a bath for now. You can, even according to the hour, you can definitely rely on the whole, everything together, including the mikveh, to take you an hour. It doesn't mean an hour sitting in a bath. But the main thing is that this is still the halacha. We want you to begin at daytime. So the best, now that's one concept. And then a mikveh to go to mikveh, a mitzvah to go to mikveh, so we don't push it off. So the best lechatchila digga time, and I said the word lechatchila, the best lechatchila digga time to begin this whole chafif, the whole cleaning process, is just before Shkia. So you're starting off at daytime, and then throughout Shkia, you're cleaning yourself, and at nighttime you go to mikveh. This is definitely the most lechatchila according to all poskim. However, there are enough poskim that say nowadays that nowadays when we do everything at nighttime, nowadays when there's no such thing as night and day is really one nowadays, and people take care of things at nighttime much more than they take care of things at daytime. 100 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to give this Zoom shia at nighttime, okay?
Yeah.
So,
the Zoom shia, yeah, but not at night.
Yeah. So again, so many poskim definitely hold that nowadays it's okay. On the other side, many poskim hold that this halacha is still 100% applicable nowadays, that you have to begin at daytime. So for giving the talk to a general oilam, you can definitely check with your Rav what's the best. Now, no one argues about the fact that if you could start at daytime, if the timing is good for you and you could start at daytime, just before Shkia, the chafifa, and throughout Shkia, do yourself, and right at the beginning of night, going to mikveh, if you could do that, everyone agrees that that's definitely good, right? That is definitely the lechatchila. Now, many poskim say that nowadays even doing everything later is also perfectly okay. But definitely, if you could do it early without any problem, all your kids are asleep or whatever, then it's definitely good to start at daytime. Okay. Exactly what has to be done for the chafifa? Okay, for the chafifa. Now, getting rid of chatzitzas. Taking a bath is the done thing, even though black and white Shulchan Aruch doesn't say that. Now, I do tell people, if recently someone was on vacation and there was no bath there was just a shower, they wanted to push off the mikveh, chas v'shalom. It does. If you cannot, if there's no bath around, you'll do it without a bath. Halacha says you have to wash. Shulchan Aruch says washing the entire body. No question about it. It is the typical done thing by Klal Yisrael. It's a right thing to take a bath. But if you cannot take a bath, then it's not a reason to push off mikveh. Is there any actual halachic answer how long you have to sit in the bath for? I'm going to say you're not going to find this in black and white halacha. How long you have to be in the bath for? So taking a good bath, which you would take yourself, which you would want before you'd have a chasana, when you really want to be clean, that is what you have to do. Do you have to sit for half an hour in the bath? There's no such halacha. But you have to clean yourself. Now, okay, a clear-cut halacha is, yes, combing the hair. The hair in Hilchos Chatzitza, there is the body and the hair, which means the hair is judged by itself. To be called a real chatzitza, it has to be on a majority part of you, and the hair is very clear cut. Shulchan Aruch is judged by itself, which means if your hair is tangled, that could be made possibly a chatzitza min haTorah. So yes, the hair has to be shampooed and combed. Then Shulchan Aruch says about cutting nails, fingernails, and toenails. Nowadays, many people struggle with this because in times of Shulchan Aruch, it was a normal thing. Everyone cut nails. Nowadays, people want longer nails. So I'm not answering this over in a public form. Speak to your Rav about it. The same thing I'm going to say now will be about nail polish. It's exactly the halacha about it. If you take it off, take it off. And if it really bothers you, then that it's too difficult for you to take it off, speak to your Rav about it. But I'm not saying anything else. You're not supposed to make yourself bleed. Don't be in the water until you've caused yourself to bleed. Many women really struggle with chafifas. Anyone that has any type of anxiety will make the chafifa becomes a much more stressful thing. And we want mikveh to be a positive thing. It's a beautiful thing. The brachas which come by going to a mikveh, all the brachas and the kedusha that a person gets on going to the mikveh make it a enjoyable thing. Look at it. I'm washing myself because I'm preparing myself for such a beautiful mitzvah. All the holiness of the mikveh, or all the holiness of the mikveh is going on me. So I should wash myself as if I'm going to a king. That positive thing about chatzitza. Now, since, as I said before, many halachos are based on the lechatchila digga thing, it's definitely not a lechatchila thing to go towards the mikveh, the chafifa, stressed and full of anxiety because I have to do this and I have to do this. So many times we'll push aside some halachas. Again, speak to your Rav. We're going to push aside some halachas, which is only chumras, even though chumras, which everyone does, because it's also against halacha to be so stressed about it when it's supposed to be a positive thing. So when you're fighting with a stressful chafifa versus certain halachas, speak to your Rav which one can be taken off. But again, details is everyone is going to be individual. Typical shilas, fillings, permanent fillings are definitely not a chatzitza. Temporary fillings, different opinions. If you can leave the temporary filling inside you for 30 days, then it's definitely okay. Stitches, which are going to be dissolved by itself anyway, that you don't need a doctor to take it out, typically is not chatzitza. Other times it's a question. And yeah, so this is basic concept about chafifa. If you have to go to mikveh Friday night, so you do the entire chafifa before Shabbos, and Friday, and then keep yourself clean. Friday night, you go to mikveh. Even you're allowed to the timing to go to mikveh at nighttime. Some people say you have to wait. Some people that are strict always about 72 minutes say you only have to go to mikveh 72 minutes. I'm not too sure about that. You can definitely go to mikveh the much earlier time. And if you a husband which is really makbid about 72 minutes, if the wife goes to mikveh at 60 minutes and she's only home at 72 minutes, is definitely good according to the basic opinions. But even much earlier, 44 minutes, when it's nacht, according to the oifek, is definitely enough time okay to go to mikveh. And Friday night halacha even does allow, even when you are makbid a certain lateness Friday night, many opinions hold Friday night is easier. If you have to go to mikveh Motzei Shabbos, also depending what we said before, since black and white Shulchan Aruch, Ramah, Shach and Taz is based on the fact that since the right time to do the chafif is at daytime, so if you go Motzei Shabbos, do the basic chafifa before Shabbos, and after Shabbos take a shower and brush your teeth. But people that, any case, always do it at nighttime, so then Motzei Shabbos they should also do it. But since it's good to begin at daytime, so if you just even cut your nails on Friday, so at least you've done something by daytime, so that will typically cover most opinions. Okay, mikveh. Very simple, entirely in that you hold everything entirely, completely immersed in the water. Much more strict than chafifas. 1 hair, 1 millimeter, hair. Yeah.
Can I ask 2 questions about chafifa, just because I don't want to come back once we start with mikveh? So somebody's asking about waterproof mascara, and somebody's asking about eyelash extensions that last over 6 weeks, if they're chatzitza.
So, black and white Shulchan Aruch. Now, black and white Shulchan Aruch is no, it's not chatzitza. However, the problem about these things are that once it gets wet, then it gets slightly smudged. And if it gets slightly smudged, you don't like it the way it is on you, then it is a chatzitza.
So it gets difficult. Everybody should ask their
right.
own.
So again, the black and white Shulchan Aruch it's not called a chatzitza. I'm going to say something which people will be upset about, but it's too bad. The black and white Shulchan Aruch is that makeup is not a chatzitza. That is black and white Shulchan Aruch. However, the reason why the people are makbid about it is because it's not chatzitza, but once it's slightly washed, then you're not going to like it. And if the second you don't like it, then it is a chatzitza.
Right.
So
it's difficult. Yeah. It gets complicated, basically. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so as I was saying entirely in the mikveh, and more strict than a chafifa, 1 millimeter of 1 hair is above the water, then minatorah, it's not good mikveh. It's entirely in the water. That's why we have that is why the halacha is nowadays that you need a mikveh attendant to watch you go down, because since it's so difficult to be 100% sure that you're entirely in the water, so the halacha is you have to have some right. When you're entirely in the water, you make a bracha. I mean, when you're standing in the water, you look out of the water, and you make a bracha and immerse yourself again. After the mikveh, very interesting. This comes, which I'm going to say now, it comes already from the Ramban, which means already in the times of the Rishonim, there were these type of people, that the Ramban writes, once you're out of mikveh, don't look for any chetzitzas. Typical people, did I do this? Did I do this? Wait, I think I found something on it. All our OCDs get waken up after the mikveh. So the Ramban already writes, once you're out of mikveh, don't look for anything. Now, any shaila after mikveh, even if you weren't supposed to look, but if you found anything after mikveh, of course you ask. And very important halacha, after mikveh, if you ask a shaila, even if you have the same shaila twice, ask it again, because there's an actual different halacha exactly how long you just left the mikveh, you've been home already for an hour. There's different halachas based on this. So therefore, if you have a shaila after mikveh, even for the second time, ask again. Okay, you come home. Basic halacha is you're supposed to say that Shulchan Aruch says you say that I went to mikveh. Taking a shower after mikveh, everyone knows that you're not allowed to. But when you're home, it's okay already to take a shower. Right away in mikveh, then there's a concept not to, even the concept in the mikveh itself is not a black or white discussion, because the basic halacha about not washing yourself after mikveh was given in the times of Tumah Tahara, not for nowadays. But many go along with the same opinion. However, once you're home already, Reb Shlomo Zalman writes this very clearly. Once you're home already, you're definitely allowed to. Okay, so I think we've covered mikveh.
Yeah.
Rabbi Tritel, shall I do quickly Vestus or basic Vestus, or we'll stop here? That's up to you to decide.
It's up to me, because I just want to cover. I want to go back to a few questions.
Yeah.
If we could cover that, and then
Okay.
and then we'll discuss that. Somebody's asking if not doing a badika for whatever, not feeling comfortable, or not doing a badika for on day 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Technically, it's okay. La halacha 1 and 7 is all it's not. It's all it's needed to be
It's difficult to say the word. It's all that's needed. Because I mean, Shulchan Aruch and the Rishonim do go along. It's definitely the lechatchilatige way how Jews should accustom themselves is to do badikas twice a day. Right.
Right. So we need, if somebody wants to do it that way for whatever reason, a shaila must be asked, or can somebody decide that, for me it's easier to do 1 and 7, and I just want to stick to this?
That's a good question. If a person can lechatchila decide, I want to go along with the b'di eved digger approach of Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says lechatchila I should do this. Am I allowed to lechatchila go along, accustom myself with the b'di eved digger opinion?
And if somebody forgot,
No. If someone forgot, then you're allowed. If someone forgot, then yes, you could paskin yourself. If I forgot to do a badika number 2, 3, and 4, Shulchan Aruch, it's a very black and white Shulchan Aruch. You can paskin for yourself. That's okay. Yes. But can a person themselves decide, I want to go along with the B'di Eved digger opinion, B'di Eved in case Shulchan Aruch? I really think that's an individual question.
Okay. And when a couple has a shaila and they ask the Ruv about it, do they have to just stop having physical relations until they get an answer, or do they have to stop touching? They have to start keeping all the halachos at that time while they're waiting.
You mean you have a question on the badika?
A badika, a kesem, whatever the question may be.
I would say if it's a kesem, I'll differentiate between a kesem and a badika. It's definitely good completely to stop, but if you're for a kesem, if you're not sure, then just don't be intimate until you get an answer. But from a badika is much more strict. A badika you should stop any touching until you get an answer.
Okay, that's very clear. Thank you. And regarding continuing with Vestas, maybe does the Ruv want to take?
I just remind us. Sorry, talk about badika. I just remind myself one halacha which a halacha which I didn't say before. When I spoke initially about kesem and badikas, I said a kesem there are leniencies, a badikas are no leniencies, a size. One thing we have to add on is on a tampon. Even though tampons, the right time of tampons is only once a period counts. If you're wearing a tampon before the period starts because you're afraid the period is going to come, you just have to know the smallest stain on a tampon is going to have a halacha like a badika. A stain on a pad will most times we're lenient, but on a tampon there's no leniencies because it's halacha like a badika.
Okay.
And one more halacha about, I don't think I said this before. Shulchan Aruch says, I'm not going to go into the ideas of the halacha. Shulchan Aruch says a kesem, a blood stain on something which is not mekabel tumah, is going to be okay. So now exactly when that is applicable is difference of opinions, but the small pads is definitely, we rely on that. The small thin pads, a blood stain even larger than the size of a penny on a white pad, most poskim will definitely be lenient on it, right? But in the larger pads, the thick pads, there are difference of opinions. You'll check with your Rav. Some Rabbanim are very lenient about all types of pads that's not makabel tumah, so therefore any stain on a pad will be okay. And again, like I said before, when I spoke about stains, not about large amount of blood, real blood, because that's going to be question period stuff. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And one more, just to go back, one more question. When a woman stains one day and the period starts the next day, so the Rav spoke about that, but somebody's questioning that for the next month, counting 31 days, which day is used?
For the vestos, for the counting, we don't count the stains, we count the flowing. For the 5 days, for becoming a niddah, if it's a niddah, then you can already count for the 5 days you can count. If it's a real blood stain, you count already from then. But for the vestos, you count from the flow, not from the blood stain.
Right, and even if they started our halachos before,
yeah.
while they were okay.
So for the 5 days, it's count. You'll use it for the 5 days, but for the vestos, you'll wait till the actual flow.
Okay, beautiful. Geweldig.
Lashon of Shulchan Aruch is ein b'kesamim mishum vest.
Okay, beautiful. Does the Ruv want to take like a 5-minute break before going on to Vestas like that, or like it's really up to what the Ruv wants to do.
If there's no major halachic simple questions, then we'll continue.
So basically I followed all the questions. I feel like I asked all the questions that were being asked. If anybody has a question that wasn't asked, I guess feel free to direct message or put it on the chat, and we'll ask it.
Certain questions are definitely, I have got a few, but certain things will have to be more on a individual a topic.
Right, which makes a lot of sense. Right.
Okay, so I think I'm just going to now we'll do the basic vestos.
Beautiful, for sure. Thank you.
There is actually, it's not a thing that everyone does, but I mean, there is a beautiful mikveh app, the app that has all the vestas on it, and it's definitely helps many couples. There's it's good to know how to there's on the app there's difference of opinions. You'll find there's yeshivish, Hasidish, Sephardish. It's called the mikveh calendar, and one of them is you can you can make your own going along with your own opinions and different checking different opinions. So, and it's an amazing thing, this mikveh calendar. I can help you if you want to know how to use it. Cole will definitely be able to help you. It's definitely, it's a very powerful thing, because without that, halachos are very complicated. In all Hilchos Niddah, the vestos are the most complicated ones. And if you can have an app which is actually going to send you the reminders, so it's definitely a beautiful thing to do. But if you're doing it yourself, so we'll go through the basic halachas. Now, in vestos, from all Hilchos Niddah, vestos is the area where there are the most chumras. Many different of opinions regarding vestos, but I'm going to do it as simple as possible. Again, we'll try without any chumras, but no question about it. The way you've been keeping the vestos now, if you have a more strict opinion, then continue doing it that way. And if you feel that your opinion, that what you've been doing till now is literally too strict, so you'll speak to your Rav that knows you about being lenient. Sometimes a person even has to be matineder when they've been doing a stringency until now. If the stringency was just based out of ignorance, then you don't need to be matineder. But if you actually kept it, but now it's getting too hard for you, so you'll have to find out about being matineder actually about it. So I'm going to go the basics. Now, The step number one is that when you get the period, again, without using the app, or even with using the app, write it down right away. Don't give yourself a day to forget. And when you're doing the calculations, next, I always tell people, smart people are the ones who make mistakes because they do calculations 7, 14, 21 like that, and they just by mistake miss a day. So if you give yourself, you actually want to do it the right way, you want to count the days, you want to write it yourself, just take the calendar and actually count the days 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that way. There is the Torah says, after the whole Pasha of Niddah, the Torah says, "V'hizartem es b'nei Yisrael mitumasam." You have to warn them from the Tumah. Besides Niddah, the whole concept, you have to the extra halacha. You have to warn them from the Tumah. So the Gemara says, what does that mean? You have to warn them. As har lebnei Yisrael sheyifreshu min shoysein samach leveston. Says the Gemara, it's as har that when you are expecting the period today, samach leveston, you have to separate. That is a thing that we learn out from the pasuk. Now, in the olden days, it's an actual thing which is actually our bodies have changed. There used to be a thing called a vest kavua. Most women had exact fixed cycle when they would see you. Nowadays, people say they have a fixed day, but it's not as fixed as what the Torah speaks about. When the Gemara speaks about fixed cycle, is literally every single month, exactly, let's say, there's many types of vests, but the two basic ones are, every single month, I see on the 32nd day, 32 days ago, I got my period, 32 days before that, well, the previous one, 32 days before that, every single month, exactly 32 days, or any number. And it was always by day, always by night. That's called a fixed period. There's another type of vest, kavua, fixed cycle, which means every month, on the Hebrew month, the same day. Every single gimel lechodesh. Gimel lechodesh Nisan, gimel lechodesh Ir, gimel lechodesh Sivan, gimel lechodesh Tammuz, every single month, the same day. And this woman that has this knows exactly when a day is. So when gimel lechodesh comes, even before she gets a period, that is the day of a vest. They have to separate. They cannot be together. Beautiful. But nowadays, our bodies have changed. Most women do not have a fixed cycle. Fixed, perfectly fixed. So there are 3 halachos when you have to count. Halacha number 1 is called vest haflaga, interval cycle, which means you count how many days was between the last period and this day, and this. So without having a calendar in front of us, it's a bit difficult, but we'll try and do the numbers. Let's say last month, we'll take the Hebrew date, last month, Aleph, we're now already forgot. Now we're in Shabbat. Last month, Aleph Teves, which was on Wednesday 4 weeks ago, she got a period, and now she gets it. She got the period. We'll make it the numbers. She gets the period tomorrow on Friday. The last period was 4 weeks ago on Wednesday. Now she got on Friday. So when you count, it's gonna be 31 days. From 4 weeks ago Wednesday to Friday is 31 days. So, and you actually count the Wednesday as day number 1 and Friday as the last day. So therefore, for the coming month, you're going to count 31 days, beginning again from Friday. Friday is day number 1, count 31 days, which will lead you to 4 weeks Sunday. Yes, 4 weeks Sunday is going to be 31 days from this Friday. And the 4 week Sunday, that is called the Vesta Flagga. That's halacha number 1. Next halacha is called oina beinanis, the average cycle. The Chachamim, they with their Ruach HaKodesh, they said the most common day to see is day number 30. Whenever you get the period, you count 30 days, and again, you count the day that you begin seeing as day number 1. The day that you begin seeing as day number 1. So back to if 4 weeks ago she got on Wednesday, so today, Thursday, was the 30th day. And the 30th day is called Oina Beinis, is the next day, which is possible to see. The third halacha is Yom HaChodesh. So since 4 weeks ago, Wednesday was Aleph L'Chodesh Teves, so today, Thursday, is Aleph L'Chodesh Shvat, which coincides. Both of them were on Aleph, so it happens to be the 30th day is also the Yom HaChodesh. These are the black and white 3 halachas, applicable for everyone. Now comes the next step. How long is the period for? Basic Shulchan Aruch is it's a 12-hour thing. 12-hour, don't mean 12 hours, I mean day and or night. So going back to the last month was on Wednesday. If last month, 4 weeks ago, the period was on Wednesday daytime, so all these 3 dates, the Thursday as day number 30, Thursday as Yom HaChodesh, Friday as day number 31, all of them, the halacha of the vest is at daytime, because that's what she got it last time. The night before is okay. And if it was last month on the Wednesday, she got it the Tuesday night, which is Wednesday, so all these period days are going to be at nighttime. Wednesday night, Thursday night is going to be at nighttime. This is the black and white Shulchan Aruch that everyone has to keep. Then comes along what's called the Vest Al Zerua, one of the Rishonim, and the basic Achronim, many Achronim go along with this, that you always have to take the night or day before as well. So if the period it comes out to be Thursday daytime, we go back to Wednesday night. If the period date comes out Wednesday night, we're going to go back to Thursday day. That is, so we always, it's not like Shabbos. It's not like Shabbos night and day. It's whenever the vest is, plus the night beforehand or the day beforehand. So now, exactly opinions, if everyone has to keep the vest al zarura, that is definitely, many opinions hold you don't have to keep it. Everyone, it's important chumrah. So this is definitely an answer for every individual. Reb Shlomo Zalman writes, Shana Rishoina doesn't have to keep it. Right? So in other words, this is it's not a thing to answer in public, because everyone should know we like being good Jews, and we don't have to go for every single kula. We definitely don't have to go for every single chumrah, right? That's also not Judaism to go for every single chumrah, but we don't have to run for every single kula. When we like keeping the Torah, so it's okay that we can sometimes take upon ourselves another thing. Now, on the other hand, a chumrah in Hilchos Niddah could sometimes be a kula in Shalom Bayis. So which is also not a black and white answer to everyone. If a husband wants to be strict and keep the Azurua, but his wife is upset about it, then God forbid, you're not allowed to keep it. So,
right.
So it's definitely a thing for different people. I do tell many people, again, I'm not giving now the basic answer everyone should ask their own Rav. I do, for many people, I teach to keep the Azurua for the Oina Beinanis. The 30th day is the most strictest vest, right? So for that one, we keep to keep the vest Azurua based on a few different halachas. But again, it's everyone's different. There is another, I'm saying the word chumrah, but it's also many poskim go along with this. And again, I'm telling you it's a chumrah, that the way I just now said, Thursday happened to be the 30th day. It was also the Yom HaChodesh from the previous month. So every second month, the 30th day is going to be the Yom HaChodesh. We have 29 days in a month, the next month is 30, 29, 30. So every second month is going to be the 30th day is going to be the same day as a month, as a Yom HaChodesh. So many opinions go along, and I'm not going to go into the whole idea where it comes from the Chumrah, that we always keep day 30 and day 31. But again, I said it's a Chumrah, and it does make it less complicated because you don't have to have an eye in the calendar. You just know 30, 31, but it's definitely a Chumrah. A person that does, a newly married person that accepts upon himself this Chumrah, I tell them to say Bli Neder, which means, so if I decide later on it's too difficult, I'm not going to. But again, this is also, everyone is individual. So these are the basic 3 halachas. Okay. Now, as I said, the Oina Beinanis is the most strictest vest. So, okay, I'm going to go to a second. So what's a halacha about a vest these days? So relations, intimacy is definitely asa. Now, touching out of affection, kissing, hugging, stroking, these type of things, halacha is, it should be refrained from. I'm changing the words from the word asa to should be refrained from. And everything, all other halachas, all halachos are mutter. You're allowed to pass things to each other. You're allowed to sit on the same bed. Lying together in bed will go in the category of kissing and hugging. And but you don't need halachos. On the actual day of the vest, you have to do a bedika. Some opinions say 2 bedikas, but 1 bedika is important. If she forgot to do a bedika, so it's okay. Besides the oina beininus, as I said, the oina beininus is the most strictest vest. So on the 30th day, she has to do a bedika. And if the 30th day passed without a bedika, then halacha, black white halacha, she actually becomes a niddah until she does a bedika. So let's say this Thursday, she was supposed to do a bedika on Thursday. On Thursday, there's no halachos. But Thursday night, because she didn't do a bedika, the halacha is she's an actual niddah until she does a bedika. Some poskim even say even a bedika afterwards is not going to help. But the basic opinion is a bedika afterwards will help. If someone
I'm sorry, Rabbi Royde. Many people are asking about nursing women or being on birth control. What do they need to do in regards to their vestas?
I was actually going to say about birth controls.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Right. So if you're on birth control, so you're definitely not going to get the vest. Many opinion hold that it's okay. If the halacha is, Shulchan Aruch says, mesulekes domim. It means, I don't know a good English word for it, but you stop bleeding. You're not going to get any, then you do not have to do any bedika. So pills are called mesulekes domim, according to most opinions. So many opinions hold, if you're on birth control, you do not need to do any bedikas. Any vestas. However, many poskim are strict again about oina beininus, but it's only going to be the first month. If someone's on birth control for 3 months, that means for 3 months they're not going to get the period. So the first month that they're on it, on the 30th day since the last period, yes, according to many poskim, it should treat it as a day of a vest. But afterwards, all the other vestas are okay. And afterwards, there's no such thing the next month to keep. So I do like going along with this opinion that the first month, the oina beininus should be kept. But it's definitely, many opinions hold you don't have to do that even. Now, if you're on the birth control and you stop taking the birth control, so that means you will be getting your period within a few days. So the day which is, if by the 4th day you have to get your period, so we will treat the 4th day as a day of a vest, but the other days not.
Got it. Makes sense.
Now, since a lot of people, as I said, the reason why one of the reasons why I do say the oina beininus should be kept, because in today's world, many people do get periods. To say it's real mesulekes domim from birth controls, many people hold, many women stain badly on birth control anyway. So that is, there's a lot of reasons to be machmir about. But again, it's only the first oina beininus, because once you've got it, you passed it, then it's okay.
Right, and
now nursing or pregnant. So once pregnancy, of course, there's no periods then. So, but the first. By the first month of pregnancy, according to Shulchan Aruch, up to 3 months is not necessarily called mesulekes domim. Now, in the times of Shulchan Aruch, basically maybe it wasn't so strongly proven that they're pregnant. So Moshe speaks about it. Nowadays, are you called halachically mesulekes domim even the first month? So many opinions do hold, yes, the first month in pregnancy still to go along with the vestas. But it's only for 1 month, because once this month has passed, then it's going to be okay. When you're nursing, then once you've got your period once, you should be choishesh the next month for oina beininus.
Okay. And how about coming off of birth control until the cycle starts regulating somewhat? Is there an amount of time, or do they start day one, the first month, keeping?
From the first period, we're going to keep it.
Okay.
There will be maybe leniencies regarding the halacha that I said before. If you missed a bedika on the oina beinis, asura chetivdoik. So, in these type of stories, when her whole period is she was semi musaleka stamim, so then maybe we could be lenient about that part.
Okay.
Now, one more halacha. If someone, typical story, you forgot when your period was. So, what's halacha about that? So, the Shevet HaLevi Reb Vos is actually mekel, meaning, but when you have definitely passed the 30th day, then we will have to do a bedika. But outside that, if you don't know when the vest is, you're allowed to be lenient.
And it's only for the baininess, right? Only for the 30-day.
Yeah, because since the halacha is, as I said, ova havest for the 30 years is asura ad shetivdok, she's asa. So even if I don't know what day it was, I don't know if it was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I've passed it. So this halacha doesn't change. The halacha that I've passed the period date without a bedika is still here.
Right.
So you have to do a bedika. Once you've definitely passed that day, you have to do a bedika.
Right. And how many months does it have to be consistent?
That's a final halacha here.
I'm sorry.
No. the final halacha of vest, we said before about vest kavua. Once you have a 3-month pattern, now a pattern means anything. Meaning last month I saw on 30, this month I saw on 31, next month 32. These are complicated halachas. So this, I just make it very easy for myself. And I tell everyone, any pattern of any form, check it with your Rav.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Once you have a 3-month pattern, whatever it is, right? Even the Gemara, the halacha speaks about all interesting types of patterns. 24, 27, 30, 33. Which means missing 3 days between each one. Every day going up another 3. Or any form of pattern that you can see. Halacha is just, when you have a 3-month pattern, check it with a ask. Women which get also another thing, they have a specific type of symptom before the period comes. A day before the period comes, they always get a very strong cramp. And they have it for a few months. Also check it with your Rav if it's called a vest or not. So I think basically this is basic covered Hilchos Niddah. And as I said before, and just very strongly, anything which I said, which may be questionable, make sure to ask your Rav. And if I gave you any leniency, always check it. I mean, especially when it comes to chafifa, makeup, these type of things, right? I gave ideas. Right, but definitely and check it with your Rav to make sure the halacha is perfectly like this and applicable for you. And again, as we started off, we were now making the midst of kadoshim to you because we learned the halachas on Hilchos Niddah, and as I said, Rashi tells us by doing something to keep yourself away from averos is the mitzvah of kadoshim to you, and again, the 500 times better than Karas, we would definitely Mekayim now because we done something not to be over. And Hashem should help us, Hashem, that will understand the halachos is going to enhance our lives and the positive message of the marriage will enhance your marriage and your life. You're really going to get the message that Hilchos Niddah is going to connect you and the husband and wife together. And Be'ez Hashem, the Chazal tell us, Ish ve'isha, shchina beineyah. Now, Ish ve'isha, if you're zoicha, the shchina beineyah. What does it mean you're zoicha? The basic 2 messages of being zoicha is keeping Hilchos Niddah and Shalom Bayis. So that is what connects the Ish and Isha together, makes the shchina there. And we say in davening, Barcheinu avinu boi panecha. We ask Hashem for the shchina. And we say the benefits of the Shechina. Ki b'oipanech nosata lanu Hashem Elokeinu Toras Chaim, Avas Chesed, Staka, Bracha, Rachmim, Chaim, Toivim, V'Shalom. All these beautiful blessing brachas which come together with a Shechina in the house. So by Hilchos Niddah together with Shalom Bayis, in other words, just saying Hilchos Niddah, Shalom Bayis, Hilchos Niddah, Shalom Bayis is all one. We're going to be zocher to all these brachas. Hatzlacha, everyone.
Oh mine. Thank you so much, Rabbi Royde. Thank you for honoring us with such an amazing refresher, review, whatever you want to call it. It's fascinating. Covered everything so beautifully. I'm humbled to be part of it, and thank you. On behalf of everybody, thank you so much.
Thanks for helping me do it.
Pleasure. And everybody, thank you so much for joining. And everybody that helped out, thank you so much for everything. Hashem should help all of us with alle bruches, and we should have Shalom Bayis, Gezind, Panus, Simchas HaChaim, Minichas HaNefesh, Achovas Adas, alle bruches, everybody. Thank you.
Amen. Shkoyach.
Okay, Zage benched. Thank you again. Kolter. Hatzlacha.